By the time of Fear and Hunger Termina, the Bremen Empire have replaced Rondon as the most significant geopolitical power in the world. The biggest contributing factor to this is the Kaiser, and his marching men of Midnight Stay, elite troopers, capable of dealing with multiple enemies at once. In 1942, peace was officially established in Europa, when the Bremen took Preheville, and the Eastern Union agreed to hand it over to the Kaiser's army. Upon arriving and occupying the city, the Bremen forces found themselves surrounded by Moonscorched, and their dreams were visited by Perculae, who welcomed them to a jubilee of cosmic proportions, a chance for mere humans like them to experience the grandeur of the gods, or at least, that's what the twisted devil figure said the event was. By its climax, there are few examples of the Bremen forces ever having been in Preheville. On the eastern outskirts, we'll find an elite trooper guarding the path into Preheville, though it's possible he's arrived recently along with the Kaiser, as we see the ominous man heading to the White Bunker. In the Maiden Forest, we find abandoned Bremen trucks, as well as a tent, set up in the middle of nowhere. Outside of the Mayor's Manor, we can find the body of a soldier, and on that body we can find a diary. An excerpt from it reads, "When I heard about this assignment, I figured the city of Preheville was at least decent sized, and there would surely be some entertainment to be had with the local dancers and street girls. But alas, I'm not too keen on getting that comfy with the locals after sightseeing the city a bit. Frankly, I'm baffled at how a city of this size has managed to stay so isolated from neighbouring influences and modern times. Considering the rumours about the Bremen military and their various war crimes, it really does say a lot about the pure depravity of Prehevillian culture that even a Bremen soldier would be disturbed just by being in Preheville and sightseeing." We can find another dead soldier in Tunnel 7, just outside of the Logic connection. On him is a letter to his lover, saying he believes Preheville was the Kaiser's true goal all along, and hoping that eventually he'll be able to leave the cursed place. Which, to be fair, he just might. It really depends on whether or not the player character knows necromancy, and of course we have the winner of the second Termina event, who will confess to us that he murdered his superiors. The Kaiser would seemingly arrive at Preheville sometime after the bulk of his army was already devastated by Termina, flanked only by his elite troops. The Kaiser travels to the centre of the city. While the Bremen army doesn't lack for grunts, it's not the ordinary soldiers like Eini, Mini, and Mo that deliver the Kaiser victory. No, the true power behind him are the marching men of Midnight Stay, elite troopers, standing far taller than the average man, and boasting a level of speed, strength, and endurance that is inhuman. How did the Kaiser find such men? Well, the elite trooper are almost certainly a result of marriage. While there isn't much proof on the surface, besides their enhanced physical attributes, when looking at the Bremen military's other units, it becomes overwhelmingly clear that the Kaiser learnt a few tricks from his time in the Dungeon of Fear and Hunger. In the dungeon we could find a creature called the Human Hydra. The last sane guards in the dungeon performed a marriage, hoping to escape the dungeon's horrors. But instead, it formed an impotent, crazy blob. And while the creature, despite its size, is pretty underwhelming, it clearly gave the Kaiser some ideas. The platoon is a monstrous entity, similar to the Hydra in size, but physically more capable, able to carry a giant cannon on its back. However, it loses focus. Clearly there are too many consciousnesses melded into one being for there to be any kind of coherent thought pattern, which is where the Sylvan Trooper comes in. Despite the name, the Trooper displays no ability to access the love magic of the pervert god, so once again we can only assume they're called as such because they're a marriage. The Sylvan Trooper is clad in a gimp suit, and their primary role is to whip the platoon, and ensure it acts according to the Kaiser's will, functionally turning the platoon into a kind of tank unit. The Kaiser, in a similar way to Darn, has applied old world powers to modern knowledge, but while Darn has used his knowledge to help and heal, the Kaiser uses his innovations for destruction. The Kaiser and the Bremen have caused all kinds of devastation across the continent of Europa over the decades, spawning a whole host of enemies, but none perhaps are so dangerous as the enemies that they have within. Pav. Not much is known about the Bremen Lieutenant Pav. He isn't one of the player characters, yet, and 2 out of the 3 scenes we can interact with him in, we're given plenty of incentive to either kill him or let him die. He's also one of the 2 contestants that doesn't have a Moonscorch form, again, yet, but I'm getting ahead of myself. What we do know about him is that he's a lieutenant in the Bremen army, and for whatever reason he wasn't part of the army's occupation of Preheville. He arrived on the train with the rest of the contestants, and the first time we're made aware of the guy is as we leave the train, where Karen calls him a Bremen pig, in between rambling incoherently about hallucination gas and other assorted conspiracy theories. Yeah, hallucination gas, right. Next she's going to tell us that the moon is alive and wants to kill us all. Pull the other one, Karen. Pav apparently immediately left the train after waking up. We can encounter him for the first time on the morning of day 1 if we go into Bunker 7 and emerge with the lion brass key. Upon leaving the hatch, we'll be met by the Bremen lieutenant. He'll have slightly altered dialogue depending on which character you are, hitting on Marina, showing respect to Olivia for her upper body strength, chastising Levi for not wearing proper boots, and saying to Karen if looks could kill, she would be a grenade launcher, which could be an attempt at flirting, but I'm not sure. He asks us to open the gate to Preheville for him, and will tell us where the other key for the gate is before saying, "Be killing you later," and then running off. Strange guy. The second time we're likely to see him is at the stairs to the city of Preheville on the morning of day 2. He'll be in a standoff with Marco, who journeyed to the city to find a wheelchair for Olivia. If Tanaka hasn't been beheaded yet, he'll also be here with Marco. If we do nothing, or try and calm the situation down, Pav will shoot both men dead on the spot. The only way to save them is to attack him. Marco will tell us after the fact that he actually caused the situation in the first place, when he attacked Pav for wearing a Bremen uniform. During a fight with Pav, he'll shoot us straight away. The third time we encounter him is playing as Karen. If we travel through the Sylvan Square on any night, we can encounter the Bremen officer. Knowing Karen, this would certainly start some kind of confrontation. The final time we meet Pav is if we find ourselves outside of the Hollow Tower before day 3. Approaching the tower, the Kaiser himself will appear. He regards us quickly before striding across the courtyard, at which point Pavel will appear, gun aimed squarely at the Kaiser's back. This was the reason Pav came to Preheville. It's why he came straight to the city, and why he directed the player to collect the keys to open the gate, to take his one and only shot against the Kaiser. The two talk, and for the first time, the facade of the arrogant, murderous lieutenant fades away, and we get to see the real Pav, albeit briefly. Kaiser, do you even know why this bullet has your name on it? You're one of my officials, Pavel Udan. You were recruited from Veronia during the First Great War. That must mean I'm responsible for demolishing the village you were born in, and your family and relatives. I sincerely hope this isn't an act of revenge. That would mean you've wasted your entire life in spite, waiting for this opportunity. It's not wasted if I get my revenge here. Hell, I'd do this even if it just meant nobody else had to go through the same thing. Don't even try and give me any of that "it's for the greater good" bullshit. Pav shoots the Kaiser, but it has no effect. The Kaiser one-shots Pav and simply walks off, leaving the Bremen lieutenant to bleed out. And we have a choice here. We can help Pavel, but the Tower of Percule, the Moon Tower, the place Percule told us to come to, is standing right in front of us, and we're reminded what's at stake. We finish him. Pav has the chaotic soul. The lore around souls is pretty esoteric and confusing, but the chaotic soul seems to mean that the individual born with it will be at their most comfortable in chaotic and uncertain environments, and that their own personalities and actions might be prone to radical alteration. But I think there's something more impactful to the grand scheme to talk about in regards to Pav's soul, and that would be in regards to the date that Pav was born, with the chaotic soul being born in December, with Miro even maybe joking that he could have been born on Christmas Day. Now, in the real world, it's speculated that Jesus Christ was actually born in April, and that Christians' canon recognition of Jesus being born in December was done as a way to incorporate pagan traditions, like the celebration of the winter solstice. But, assuming that Olmo was born in December, that would mean that it's also likely that he too would have the chaotic soul, which would explain all of the conflicting stories about his rise to power and his actions thereafter, and even the bizarre circumstances around his death. Although, we know from Fear and Hunger that the girl, who is also an Ascended One, had the ancient soul, which seemed to be unique to her, so maybe Alma had something similar. Hey, remember when this video was about the Bremen? Instead of killing Pav, we can bandage him up and escort him back to the train, and after some time passes we can talk to him. So, did you catch the game? What game? So what happened at the Temple Square? I failed. That's what happened. That cloaked man was the Kaiser, right? Yeah. He's in the town. What are you going to do about it? He never makes public appearances. Ha, you call this a public appearance? There are not many around, in case you haven't noticed. You're a Bremen soldier, right? Not anymore. Shooting our great leader, Kaiser, probably didn't win me any favors in the military. Why did you attack your leader? Why ask? You don't think the big man deserved a bullet to the head? He had one long coming. Too bad it wasn't enough. I'll continue where you left off. Pav is looking intensely into your eyes and measuring you. Just how are you gonna do that? You saw him eat the bullet and continue as if nothing happened. Maybe he really is a god, or whatever shit the propaganda feeds Bremen folk. A god? That's what they whisper in the dark of the night. Supposedly he cut all opposition down, quite literally, and took the Bremen council by force, after they refused to appoint him as the chancellor, despite having the general public behind him, mind you. The rumours say that the military police couldn't slow him down with their gunfire. I called it bullshit, but here we are. I don't know what to believe anymore. Did you come to Preheville just to kill the Kaiser? I wouldn't call it just, but yeah, pretty much. As a child, during the First Great War, Pav's village was destroyed by the Bremen, and all of his family were killed. As an adult, he would join the Bremen army, in hopes of one day getting his shot at the Kaiser. In a way, his story parallels that of Ragnarvolda, in that their lives were turned upside down at the whims of the god. Pav's childhood also adds an extra layer of irony to Karen's line about Pav being a Bremen pig. Pav is actually the victim of Bremen aggression, while Karen grew up as a privileged member of the country that ruined Pav's life. Since then, Pav has risen up the ranks, with a singular focus to destroy the Kaiser. From his dialogue, it seems that he might have an extra layer to his plan. He says he failed, but it doesn't seem like he just means killing the Kaiser. Pav is actually my favourite of the non-playable contestants, messy bitch that he is. And I hope he's playable in the next update. Please and thank you, Miro. Pav and the soldiers of Preheville reveal something crucial about the Bremen, though. The Kaiser's power is based on fear, the rumours of him being akin to a god. Apparently the Kaiser also violently murdered the Council of Bremen to secure his power over the country. Though with Pav's betrayal, it seems that only the Kaiser's marriage-born monsters seem to have any true loyalty to him, and even the new gods seem a bit split on the guy. But we are talking about a man that fumbled both DOS and godhood within like an hour of each other, so I'm sure he's used to this level of hatred and failure at this point. It seems that Pav's ultimate fate is to die, whether at the tower or on the train from his injuries. As of this writing, he doesn't have a moon-scorched form, or any plans on what he'll do with his life should he succeed in killing the Kaiser. But he's the single greatest insight into the Bremen military we have, and like fellow soldier Levi, Pav's story is ultimately a sad one.